Shana Tova. Welcome to the first morning of the year in our synagogue, and welcome to all of you who are with us here from your homes. Let's dive in. The morning of Rosh Hashanah is long. There's Unetane Tokev, the Torah reading was the story of the binding of Isaac, the Avinu Malkeinu, and the Great Aleinu. Here's my heads up for you. This is the service, I think, about which most people complained last year, because it was too long. So I checked in with my Gabaim, and I'm actually not going to shorten it. But here's some instructions. If you get bored, get up and leave and go for a walk and get coffee at Albertsons and then come back. I'm from Europe. For us, most people leave the synagogue and smoke a cigarette when the rabbi gives the sermon. So if you want to be here when I give the sermon, that would be lovely. But I also really don't take it personally. Just take this as a container. If you want to sit here and listen, listen. If you want to sit here and just look around and be with your own thoughts, do that. This is just an invitation for you to settle in. Have 3 hours in which you don't need to do anything except for just being here. And if you don't want to be here, then don't, and come back if you want to. So let me take one moment to reiterate some of our health and safety guidelines, because I know they busy a lot of you. So let me say for all of you, be safe. We have professional security with us at all times during the high holiday on Sukkot services. It is never allowed to bring backpacks into the synagogue. So if you are planning on bringing a backpack, be prepared that the greeters will tell you to leave it in your car. And if you find yourself being part of the population who has a little bit more of a difficulty getting up and moving quickly, we ask you generally in the space, sit close to this door so that in the worst case scenario, you can get up and leave the space through this door, and you don't have to go back through the entranceway. For those of you who want to wear masks, we're absolutely mask welcome, so don't feel awkward at all. You can wear as many masks as you want. We love masks. And if you feel like you came here without a mask but would want to have one, there are masks in the entryway. And if you feel suddenly threatened an hour into the service because there are too many people, then just get up and leave. I won't take it personal, and you can live stream from your homes. I think this is all I had to say when it comes to safety and comfort. The bathrooms are there and there. And I'm told we actually even purchased toilet paper this morning. So we're all set. We can do this. So take a breath. Just take a breath. Let's begin. Let's pray the words. Let's read the texts. Let's listen to the sound of the shofar. May the shrillness of its sound give us a sense of the urgency of the moment. May the fullness of its sounds give us a sense of the majesty of our God. May the rawness of its sound give us the sense of the age of this very ritual. May the brokenness of its sound give us a sense of the pain in the world that needs to heal. Page 110, 110. Ma tovu, it's so good to be here.
Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov mishkenotecha Yisrael. Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov mishkenotecha Yisrael. Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov mishkenotecha Yisrael.
with me. I have awakened again, and I give thanks. Before me, the blessing of this day, a feast of choices and possibilities. And the breath within me says, great is your faithfulness. You offer me another chance. You offer me life. This day I am created to create this day. 120.
Baruch atah Adonai Rofech ubasar umafli lasot.
123. To awake from sleep each morning, read with me, recalls your mystifying promise that death is not the end. But when this world awakens to the messianic dawn, souls and bodies will somehow join together once again in one grand reunion of the human race. When I awoke this morning, it was as though the mystery was rehearsed. For as I gradually emerged from sleep, my soul became aware of my body once again, in a small but wondrous reunion of my own humanity. 122, Elohai Neshama.
Elohai Neshama Shenatata Bi Tehora Tehorahi Elohai Neshama Shenatata Bi Tehora Tehorahi Ata virata Ata yitzarta Ata nefatach bi Ve'ata mishamra Bekirbi Elohai Neshama Shenatata Bi Tehora Tehorahi Elohai Neshama Shenatata Bi Tehora Tehorahi.
127, read with me. Why? Why who makes much of a miracle? As to me, I know of nothing else but miracles. Whether I walk the streets of Manhattan or dart my side over the roofs of houses towards the sky, or wade with naked feet along the beach just in the edge of the water, or stand under trees in the woods, or talk by day with anyone I love, or sleep in the bed at night with anyone I love, or sit at the table at dinner with my mother, or look at strangers opposite me riding in the car, or watch honeybees busy around the hive, or an August forenoon, or animals feeding in the fields, or birds, or the wonderfulness of insects in the air, or the wonderfulness of the sundown, or of stars shining so quiet and bright, or the exquisite, delicate, thin curve of the new moon in May. These, with the rest, one and all, are to me miracles. To me, every hour of the light and dark is a miracle. Every inch of space is a miracle. Every spare of grass, the frames, limbs, organs of men and women, and all that concerns them, all these to me are unspeakably perfect miracles. 124, Bichot HaShachar.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lesech v'bina, להבחין בין יום ובין לילה.
Amen.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, פוקח עברים.
Amen.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, מתיר אסורים.
Amen.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, זוקף כפופים.
Amen.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, רוקע הארץ על המים.
Amen.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, שעשה לי כל צורכי.
Amen.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, המכין מצעדי גבר.
Amen.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, מלביש ערומים.
Amen.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, הנותן ליעב כוח.
Amen.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, המעביר שינה מעיניי ותנומה מעפעפיי.
Amen. 128.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, שעשני בצלם אלוהים.
Amen.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, שעשני בת חורים.
Amen.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, שעשני ישראל.
Amen.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, עוזר ישראל בגבורה.
Amen.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, עוטר ישראל בתפארה.
Amen. On Friday nights, we always sing psalms of praise to God in order to mentally drop into the right space. The psalms of Friday nights speak about God, the King. The King is coming, they say. Shabbat is coming to marry her King. Every morning service begins with a litany of Psalms too. For 1 hour, says the Mishnah, our sages used to meditate each morning before they said the Shema. 1 hour, 60 minutes, to leave behind concerns of the body, worries about the day-to-day, hectic memories of things we have to do. 1 hour just to step back, to rise up, and to refocus. Traditionally, we would be doing this every day, and maybe there are some among us who meditate daily and who have a sense of what that feels like. This morning, however, is special. The rabbis believe that at this morning in time, God would sit down on the heavenly throne, made out of transparent light blue jewels. God would turn God's face towards us, and we would rise and bow, because we were facing the King that is something beyond everything else. This right now is this moment. This is the time. However you imagine God entering this space, maybe God is a woman who is growing older. Maybe God is a spring or a well. Maybe God is invisible and fills all the air around us. Maybe God is a still small voice within us. Maybe God is the place where our souls return to. Maybe God is a partner longingly stretching a hand towards us. Maybe God is all this at the same time. Maybe God is nothing like that. But for now, for the next minutes and pages, we make space for God here in our midst. Page 130, Baruch She'amar, blessed is the one who spoke the world into being.
Baruch She'amar v'haya ha'olam, Baruch hu. Yachid Che'olamim, Melech Meshubach Umfoar, Adei Ad Shemo HaGadol, Baruch Atah Adonai, Melech Mehulal Batishbachot.
132, Ashrei.
Ashrei Yoshvei Beitecha, Hagdol bikvut shemecha, Hagibor lenetzach, V'hanora b'norotecha. Amen. ויתפאר שמך. מלכנו בכל דור ודור, שוכנה
Please read with me. My Lord is not a shepherd, and I am not his sheep. No monarch greedy for my praise is worthy of my prayers. Oneness that exploded into cosmos, spun the double helix over eons of evolution, made all things beautiful in their time, gave me intellect and initiative to envision oneness, a single chain of life, a single human family, and myself one part, responsible and responsive, member of a people who dreamed of oneness, worked and suffered for its sake, and still lives in service to that unity. This I honor, this I hold sacred. Page 140. Yishtabach Shimcha La'ad Malkeinu. Our sovereign God, source of holiness and greatness, may your name be praised forever in this world and beyond. Eternal One, God of our mothers and our fathers, your strength, sanctity, glory, and dominion are deserving of song, praise, poetry, hymn, sacred chant, and blessing of thankfulness for all time and eternity.
Baruch atah Adonai, El Melech Gadol Batishbachot, El HaHodaot, Adon HaNiflaot, HaBocher B'shirei Zimra, Melech Elchei HaOlamim.
141.
Yitgadol v'yitkadosh Shemei Rabbah V'yalmad yivrach chirutei v'yamlich malchutei b'chayechon uvyomechon uv'chayetecho Beit Yisrael Bagala uvizman kariv v'imru Amen Yeheshnei Rabba mevorach le'olam u'l'olamei Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yitalei v'yithalal Shemei d'kodashah b'richu le'ela u'le'ela mikol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata damiran pe'alma v'imru Amen.
Every time God calls to us, listen, Israel, listen. The sentence never loses its poignant urgency. We listen, right? We listen. Do we listen? Do we listen to the voices that we do not want to hear? Do we listen to the small, still voice inside? Do we listen to God when God seems far away? Do we listen when we don't have time or when other voices seem to be much more urgent? If you cross the Red Sea now, what would God say to you waiting on the other side? If you stood at the foot of Mount Sinai now, at this point in your life, what is the message that God would reveal to you? If you were about to take your first step into a whole new world, what would God say to you? The Shema comes with a message: wonder. Be amazed by the beauty and mystery of this world. Go deep and then go deeper. Sink into the sea of wisdom that is this world, our Torah. Sink into that sea. Study, teach, and focus. Adjust every single one of your steps. Walk and forget all the messages. Walk freely. Walk towards freedom. Not only your own, but also the freedom of others. Hold on. Pause. Make time for gratitude. Lift your voice. Find words and melodies of your own. Hold someone's hand. Then go deeper. 142. Please rise for the Baruch if you're able. Source of blessing, our eternal God, your power fills the cosmos, shaping light, creating darkness, making peace, and fashioning all things. Infinite light is preserved in life's treasure house. Lights from the darkness, says God. And it was so.
אור עולם באוצר החיים, אורות מאופל, אמר ויהי.
144.
ברוך אתה אדוני, יוצר המאורות.
146.
אהבה רבה,
אהבה רבה,
אהבה רבה,
אהבה רבה,
אהבה רבה,
אהבה רבה, אהבתנו. אהבה רבה, אהבה רבה, 148.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך בדיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
אדוני אלוהיכם אמת. 165. Please read with me. They went forth. They went forth from Egypt on a single night, but next time the miracle will be different. Once 2 sages were walking very early in the valley, and they saw the light of the morning star. Said one to the other, "This is how the redemption will be. The dawn breaks with a single ray of light, and bit by bit the sky is illumined, until morning comes and the darkness is gone. So the redemption will occur little by little, growing steadily and gradually, until the world is full of light. Do not wait for a miracle or the sudden transformation of the world. Bring the day closer, step by step, with every act of courage, of kindness, of healing and repair. Do not be discouraged by the darkness. Lift up every spark you can, and watch the horizon for the coming of dawn. Look closely. It has already begun." 164.
Torah tehillah, Go'aleinu Adonai tzvaot shemo kadosh Yisrael. Baruch atah Adonai Gal Yisrael.
Amen. The Amidah, the standing prayer, is a series of blessings that tell us about ourselves. The first blessing speaks of our ancestors, the people who came before us, who made us into who we are. The second blessing speaks about the nature of our world, the amazing fact that we fall and rise again, that we fall sick and that we heal, that we find ourselves stuck and yet that we are able to free ourselves and move forward, that we fall asleep and then wake up again. But on the high holidays, those words take on a new sense of urgency. Usually we just state our gratitude for the fact that the world and our bodies work that way. On these days of the year, though, we face the fact that not every time we fall, we rise again. Not everyone who falls sick heals again. Not everyone who feels constricted is able to free themselves. Not everyone who falls asleep wakes up again. And so, instead of simply stating our gratitude, we allow ourselves to pray for survival, for healing, for a good, long, sweet, and healthy new year. A year in which we, all of us here, are inscribed in the book of life, of goodness, of health, of community, and of beauty. Page 166, the beginning of the Amidah. Please rise.
Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi yagidelecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise.
And the following pages.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Ve'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomer Chasadim Tovim, V'Konei HaKol, V'Zocher Chasdei Avot v'Imahot, U'Mevii Gula Livnei V'neihem, L'man Shemo, Be'ahava, Zochreinu L'chaim, Melech Hafetz B'chaim, V'chodveinu B'sefer HaChaim, L'mancha Elohim Chaim, Melech Ozer u'Moshia u'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'Ezorat Sarah. Atah gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechayei hakol atah rav lehoshia, Morid hatal. Mechael kel chaim bechesed, Mechayei hakol berachamim rabim, Somech noflim ve'ofech olim, Umatir hasuim, Umekayim זוכר יצוריו לחיים ברחמים, ונאמנתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל.
On Rosh Hashanah this is written. On the fast of Yom Kippur this is sealed. Who will live and who will die? Who will reach the ripeness of age? Who will be taken before their time? Who by fire and who by water? Who by earthquake and who by plague? Who will rest and who will wander? Who will be tranquil and who will be troubled? I sat in shul for years reading these words before I realized the answer. The answer to each of these questions is me. Who will live and who will die? I will. Who at their end and who not at their end? Me. Like every human being, when I die, it will be at the right time, and it will also be too soon. Fire, water, earthquake, plague. In my lifetime, I have been scorched and drowned, shaken and burdened, wandering and at rest, tranquil and troubled. That has been my life's journey. Of course, I prefer to deflect this truth. I would much prefer to let the prayers talk about someone else, perhaps that fellow in the next row. It has taken a lifetime to reveal that defense as a lie. The prayer is not about someone else, it's about me. It is a frightfully succinct summary of my existence. So now I read it again, but in the first person, and it makes me shiver. I will live and I will die, at the right time and before my time. I will wander, but I might yet find rest. I will be troubled, but I may achieve tranquility. This is the central truth of the High Holidays. This is what makes them Yamim Noraim, days of terror. We are vulnerable. 174, the beginning of Unetane Tokef.
ובחיינו לך תעלה קדושה, כי אתה אלוהינו מלך. ונתן תוקף קדושת היום, כי הוא נורא מלכותך ויקון בחסד כיסאך ותשב עליו באמת, אמת כי אתה הוא דיין ומוכיח ויודע ואין וחוטא וחותם וסופר מונה ותזכור כל הנשכחות ותפתח את ספר הזיכרונות ומאליו יקרא. תדידי-די-די-די, תדידי-די-די-די, תדידי-די-די-די. וחותם יום
176.
ושופר גדול ייתקע, ייתקע, וכל דממה דקה יישמע.
And so a great shofar will cry, Tekiah, and a still small voice will be heard.
כבר קרא דרו, מביא צאנו תחת שבטו.
All who come into the world pass before you, like sheep before their shepherd. 178.
ראש השנה יכתבון,
וביום צום כיפור יחתמון, בראש השנה יכתבון, וביום צום כיפור יחתמון.
who by fire, who by water, who in sunshine, who in the nighttime, who by a high ordeal, who by a common trial, who in your merry, merry month of May, who by very slow decay, and who shall I say is calling? Who in her lonely slip, who by a barbiturate, who in these realms of love, who by something blunt, who by avalanche, who by powder, who for his greed, who for their hunger, and who shall I say is calling? Who by brave ascent, who by accident, who in solitude, who in this mirror, who by his lady's command, who by their own hand, who in mortal chains, who in power, and who shall I say is calling? Uteshuvah, utefillah, utzedakah, navirin et roah hagzerah.
180. You are everything that we praise you for, slow to anger, quick to forgive. You do not wish the death of sinners, but urge them to return from their ways and live. Until the day of death, you wait for them. You accept them at once if they return. Since you created us, you know our impulses. We are but flesh and blood. Emet, ki ata hu yotzram, ve'edea yitzaram, ki hem basar vadam. 184, the Kedusha.
נקדש את שמך בעולם כשם שמקדישים אותו בשמי מרום ככתוב על יד נביאך וכרזה אל זה ואמר Kadosh, 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 Adonai Tzvaot, Melech haaretz kevodo. Adir, Adirenu, Adonai, Adonenu, Madir Shimcha b'chol haaretz. Baruch kevod Adonai mimkomo. Echad hu Eloheinu, hu Avinu, hu Malkeinu, hu Moshienu, hu Yashminu b'rachamav. Leinei kol chayim, ani Adonai Elohechem. Yimloch Adonai leolam, Elohai Zion, ledor vador. Hallelujah. Ledor vador, ledor vador, ledor vador, nagid God lecha, ulenetzach netzachim, ulenetzach netzachim, kedushatcha naqdish, v'shivchacha Eloheinu. Mipenu lo yamush leolam va'ed, ki el melech gadol, ki el melech gadol, v'kadosh ata. Ledor vador, ledor vador, ledor vador, nagid God lecha, ulenetzach netzachim, ulenetzach netzachim, kedushatcha naqdish. Baruch Adonai, HaMelech HaKadosh. Please continue silently on your own pace. $2.20. Shalom Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel ve'imu amen.
Every year is a year of renewed efforts. Every year anew we build and expand our homes, our families, our friendships, our careers, our abilities. Every year we witness firsthand the astounding fact that as human beings, we're always capable of more than we thought we could do. And yet our tasks never get finished. And yet there's always something left to do. And yet we never completely understand what just anything is about. And it is to this certainty, the only certainty that we have in this world, that we can never be too certain in the face of its mysteries, that our tradition invites us to rise up to. Rise, rise. Rise because there is something bigger than us in this space, in this very moment. Look at our broken, miraculous beauty. Surrender to the knowledge that we will never fully know. Acknowledge that there has always something been there, a tacit feeling of being called home, that we walk toward us all throughout our lives, to greet what is right and wholesome and to arrive home. It is time to reach deeply into this sense of humility, of being humbled in the face of creation itself and in the force that is creating. Avinu Malkeinu, our God, beyond everything. Page 223.
Avinu Malkeinu Shema Koleinu, Avinu Malkeinu Chatanu Lefanecha, Avinu Malkeinu Chamol Aleinu Ve'al Aleinu V'Ta'apeinu, Avinu Malkeinu Kale Tever V'Cher V'Rav Me'aleinu, Avinu Malkeinu Kale Chol Tzar Umastin Me'aleinu, Avinu Malkeinu Kol Teveinu V'Sefer Chaim Tovim, Avinu Malkeinu Chadesh Aleinu Shana Tova.
Loving Father, infinite power, gentle, forgiving, lofty, inscrutable, Avinu Malkeinu. Compassionate Mother, omnipotent Lord, comforting presence, fathomless mystery, Avinu Malkeinu. Our rock and redeemer, life of the universe, close to us always, impossibly far, Avinu Malkeinu. Embracing, confounding, accepting our frailty, decreeing our end, Avinu Malkeinu.
Avinu Malkeinu,
Choneinu v'aneinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Choneinu v'aneinu, ki ein banu ma'asim, aseh imanu, tzedaka v'chesed, aseh imanu, tzedaka v'chesed, v'hoshienu, Avinu Malkeinu, Choneinu v'aneinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Choneinu v'aneinu, ki ein banu ma'asim, aseh imanu, tzedaka v'chesed, aseh imanu, tzedaka v'chesed, v'hoshienu, Avinu Malkeinu, Choneinu v'aneinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Choneinu v'aneinu, ki ein be seated. That was a moment of unexpected drama. Shana Tova. Bruce. Good. No. I just meant to say you were missed yesterday. Keep on talking. Okay, so this year, we're celebrating Rosh Hashanah together for the second time. Says that already. As I'm looking around today, much has stayed the same, but also a lot has changed. The books are the same, the prayers are the same, much of the music is the same. The flower bouquets are similar at least. And when I look into your faces, I see many familiar ones. Some, especially one Fred's, are missing. But I also see some new ones. And there are bigger differences. The greatest difference, at least for me, is my knowledge about every single one of you here. I am not maintaining a database of growing information. I should, and actually by the end of the year we will be doing that. But for now, I mean something else. I mean that over the last year, I have come to know many of you in a really, really deep and personal way. It might be because you were the person who reached out and called, or you made an appointment and I never met you before, and then I met you on Zoom because you can do that now on Calendly, so do it. It's also maybe because some of you sat in my office and you were crying or you were laughing. At some of your houses I have visited personally, in moments when your world broke apart. When you were sick, we put you on the Mishaberach list in the newsletter. And you actually knew that we prayed Mishaberach for you every Saturday morning and every Friday night. I know you because maybe sometimes at some point you said something in a class that I taught, or just in a moment where I was randomly present. Last year when I stood here, I looked into your faces and I thought, you look nice. You look like a nice bunch of people. This year, I look into your faces and I see my community. And it feels very different. Last year when I was sitting down and I wrote these high holiday sermons, I wrote them for you. I pulled all kinds of ideas from somewhere so that I can give a nice sermon. This year, most of the words and voices that came up to me as I was writing were yours. So this is a sermon that I didn't write for you. I wrote it with you. At some point, at one of the Friday night services we were here for over the last month, I shared with you in a very short, nonchalant sentence that my biggest learning as a congregational rabbi so far has been that there's always something going on. I cannot remember a single day over the course of the last month where no one would have been sick or dying, where no one would have wanted to speak about some family matter, where no one was anxiously waiting for some news, when no one needed anything, when no one would have been mourning. There's always someone on our Mishaberach list. My biggest hope at this point is that we have learned to hold and see you, and that you have learned that you truly matter to me. My biggest hope is that when you read the newsletter and the names on the Mishaberach list, that you actually know that I personally and we communally say Mishaberach for every single person on that list. And that you know that when you're sick, we will add your name too. My biggest hope is that you know that we have a caring committee headed by Sharon Tholt, and that I have a discretionary fund, and that if you find yourself in a time of need, you can reach out to us too, for soup or a visit and a hand that holds yours, and someone to listen and go to the supermarket and help to get your insurance straight, and so much more. My biggest hope at the end of this last year is that you and I have learned together that we are a community who truly cares. Last year, Stephen Eagle and I had some conversations about the liturgy of this day. I told him that historically speaking, we as a congregation, which celebrates only one day of Rosh Hashanah, we should not read the story of the Akedah, the binding of Isaac in Genesis 22. Instead, we should read Genesis 21, the previous chapter. The original story for Rosh Hashanah was not the story of how God tested Abraham by asking him to sacrifice his beloved son. The original story for Rosh Hashanah was the story of Abraham and Sarah, an aging, affluent couple who did not conceive any children, and the miracle of the birth of their son Isaac. It may be, as you listen to this little summary, you understand that historically the story started to feel a little uncomfortable. So we switched. But be it as it may, this story is a story about infertility. It's a story about desperation, doubt, miracles, pregnancy, birth, jealousy, and fear. Abraham and Sarah could not have children. In her despair, Sarah finally asks Abraham to find a remedy for at least part of their problem. If he had a son with another woman, a slave woman, they would be able to raise this son as their own. They would have an heir for their land and fortune, and their family's line and name would not be forgotten. Abraham then goes on and has a son with Hagar, an Egyptian slave woman. By then, subsequently, gets visited by 3 men, or angels, or God, who prophesies the birth of a son, a biological son, to Abraham and Sarah within only 1 year. Isaac is born, and Sarah, anxious and jealous, suddenly realizes that what was intended to be a solution has now turned into a problem. And she asks Abraham to send Hagar and her son away. Once Hagar and Ishmael are gone, still no happiness is waiting for Sarah. When God calls on Abraham to prove once more his loyalty, Abraham leaves home together with Isaac to permanently mark his son with the sight of his father rising over him, his arms stretched towards heaven, holding a knife, ready to slaughter him. What kind of a story is this, Stephen? What kind of a story is this? Is there anyone in sight who is not marked either by fear, trauma, loneliness, old age, infertility, jealousy, doubt, migration, family, rape, hunger, and whatever not? What kind of a family is this? And why, I asked of Stephen Eagle, can't we at least focus on the story of the baby, but need read instead the story of the almost sacrifice? Another one among you, Chris Godlewski, said this year one of the most remarkable sentences I have ever heard about biblical stories. The stories of the Hebrew Bible, he said to me, are amazing because they happen every day. The stories of the Hebrew Bible are amazing because they happen every day. They happen to us. We all know them. We live in them and they live in us. Because the truth is, there's not a single family in this room who is not marked permanently in one way or the other by at least one of the many items on my list of difficulties and pain. We all are this family. Living in community and sharing our lives, both figuratively in the newsletter and actively, is teaching us this lesson over and over again. The stories of the Hebrew Bible are amazing because they happen every day. Gathered in this space together, we as a community hold all the stories of the Akedah, and more even. Whether you know it or not, we are all witnesses here to the life story of others, their happiness and their achievements, and their struggles and pains. And this is why we need to read the story of the almost sacrifice on one of these holiest days of the year, because the story reminds us of the fact that each single one of us is at times hurting, and that all of us as a community are responsible to bear this in mind, to reach out our hands, like Seth is already doing, and to walk the walk, as Ashley Mansfield says. The rabbis of antiquity, my friends and greatest teachers, have thought a great deal about the responsibility we have as a community to care for those among us who carry a heavier burden than others. Tithing and the obligatory giving of up to 20% of our abundant wealth to tzedakah helps to establish justice and a social equilibrium between those who have much and maybe more than they need, and those who have little and maybe not enough for their day-to-day lives. In their times, but to this day, mainly the sick, children, single women, and the elderly. These contributions were historically used to ensure food supplies, shelter, and medical care for the vulnerable in what we would call today a soup kitchen, and beds, actual beds at synagogues, and the availability of doctors and midwives in times of need. I'm glad to say that in this community, the system still works. We as a community and each of our members know how to create justice in this world. I am so grateful to the many of you who have contributed to my discretionary fund and enabled me to help so many other members of this community. I'm grateful to the work headed by our member Susie Becker and put into action by the hands of so many of our volunteers, volunteering at Fork and Spoon, the food drive, and the upcoming crop walk. It's on October 16th, I think. Look in the newsletter. The work that we have come to call Tzedek, a community project, a name that is coined by Mike Zell. And I'm grateful that always when I talk to anyone here about additional volunteering and contributing, I inevitably hear from you, Rabbi, I already do that. We are, as a community that not only talks the talk, but also walks the walk. I'm grateful and I'm proud, and so should you be. But there is more than sticking to simply rules. As a community of learners, I want to stretch us today for another layer of rabbinic teachings on what true justice actually looks like. And I think I'm responding a question that Lynn Rosen asked me one day when she asked me, what do I actually try to do when I give a sermon? And I said, I am trying to create something beautiful. I want to teach you one thing that you never heard about before. I want you to feel whole. And I also want you to walk away with one thought you never thought before. So here's my attempt at the thought you never thought before. When the rabbis thought about justice, they did not stop at equity. They weren't satisfied making sure that no one would go hungry, that everybody would have somewhere to sleep, and that there might be ease and support at time of physical and emotional pain. They were actually demanding more. And what is this more? That more that they taught is based on their intellectual humility. It's a rare gift. Some of them had it. Because the truth is that we often do not actually know what our neighbors and the strangers who dwell among us really need. We all live within the borders of our own skin. I might feel real good about myself baking you a bread, but you might actually be gluten intolerant. I might be very happy to write you a check, but you might need a listening ear, or the other way around. I might make you dinner, but I might forget about your brother whom you also need to feed, or that you simply do not like carrots, or that you might need more than what I think you should eat. When the rabbis thought about this problem, they came up with the word istenis. It's a word I read about 15 years ago, once in the Talmud, and I dug it up for this sermon. A word that is probably derived from the Greek astenos, not strong, by which they meant a person of pronounced sensitivity to ugly or troublesome environmental stimuli, death or sickness. These are the people who are already freezing, when most of us are still fine. These are the ones who are immunocompromised. These are the people who can't deal with large crowds or loud noise. These are the germophobes, the food snobs, the princesses and the peas, the pain patients, and the ones who get migraines. These are the people who fight depression, anxiety, or other invisible diseases or disabilities. These are the people who cannot work or can't leave their house. Istenis ani, I am sensitive. You never know the sensation with which your neighbor lives. Don't be satisfied to give what you are called for. Make sure you're asking, is this enough? And at times, we might also need to learn that when we think empathy and pity are needed, we're looking instead at a world full of resources and pride. Not always, when we feel good about ourselves for giving, do we give what is wanted or barely give enough. For me personally, 15 years ago, this teaching of the istenis has been quite abstract. I like to work hard, most of you know this, and most diseases and sicknesses get me into bed for not more than a couple of days. However, this last year, my first year with you, was different. And although I never liked rabbis talking about themselves and their own lives, because honestly, like how interesting are we? This year, I would like to share one thing about myself. This last year was excruciating. Some of you know this already, but the last weeks of my pregnancy in August came with a lot of pain. It was the kind of pain that shows up on the screens of the machines, to which I was hooked over and over again. But it was also the kind of pain that gives no reason to action. A pain that was supposed to be cured with ibuprofen, and a pain that left me tired because I couldn't sleep, lonely because I didn't want to share too much of it with my 2-year-old or my husband, who spent the days taking care of him. It left me hypersensitive to any kind of physical discomfort to this day. And it actually left me very anxious whenever I thought about other people who live like this every day with pain. I was, for the first time in my life, an istenis. And that experience was really humbling. That experience also made me rethink the story of Sarah, whose story we read today. It's an elderly woman, never been pregnant before, of an aging man. How did this pregnancy go? How did it leave her body? How anxious must you be as a mother once you waited almost a lifetime to conceive? How afraid are you to lose your child again by misfortune, accident, or destiny. My pain also made me think of Hagar, that slave woman who was forced to conceive, carry out, and raise the child of her owner, only then to be sent away and abandoned all by herself. This is not political at all. My pain also made me think of Hannah, whose story we read as a Haftarah reading accompanying the earlier chapter. Another woman who begged and pleaded for babies, only then, once she had a first son, to lose it again to priesthood and priests. There is so much pain, physical and emotional pain, coming with pregnancy, birth, and child-rearing, not only to birthing mothers, but to everyone involved, and it never stops. And such is the story, the Torah reading of Rosh Hashanah. It is a story of a difficult and painful conception, of birth pangs, of family conflicts and trauma, and not only an individual or a family level, but on a universal level too. Today we say is the birthday of this world. What does this mean? We imagine God, the King and the Father, creating our world from darkness, matter, chaos, and clay. We imagine Him, an artist maybe, going through numerous trials and errors until eventually arriving at the final form. What if we imagine creation instead as a woman being in labor, screaming and breathing and sweating in pain? What if God's heart broke and God's world ripped apart in order to give birth, to make space for our world and subsequently our pain? What if we deeply learned this lesson, to pay respect to every living creature and to everything living, because each one of us and everything knows and carries its fair share of pain. Apart from the much-needed intellectual humility when assessing and attempting to meet someone else's needs, there's a second lesson for us to take away from the idea of the istenis, and that is the one of individual liberty. Because we do not know what anyone really needs, we also cannot know for sure what makes them truly happy. We do not know what is their deepest calling. We do not know on the basis of which preferences and missions and dreams they make their decisions. As long as their decisions do not hurt us, we can humbly step back and let them live their lives as who they are. So here we are, in community, gathered together, witnessing each other, caring for each other, letting each other sleep, both familiar and foreign to each other, moving along. Ultimately, what I have come to realize, the goal can never be to make all the sickness and pain disappear forever. What matters most at the end of the day, and maybe this day in particular, is that the story is never ending, that it continues, and that we keep our name. As Jews, we are a community of wanderers and learners, of listeners and shapeshifters, of seekers and carriers of memories. We decide with each action to whom we listen and what kind of a world we live in. But then we have to live with the decisions of others too. Last year at this point, I told you that I was dreaming to see this community as a community of care. And I saw firsthand how close to fulfillment we came this year. Thank you, Sharon. Today I am dreaming. I'm dreaming again. I'm dreaming of a community of tellers and teachers, listener and learners. I am planning to have us all, including myself, listen and learn and teach and study together now and as we continue to take on another year. Shana Tova. We are going to be on page 227. Just rise, not yet. Let me just figure out my papers. I want to call up Richard Wolf and Janelle. No, I want to call up Billy Lazar and Chanel Corino to be my Gabaim in the Torah service we're about to start. And we're getting ready for the Torah service. Page 227, please rise for the Torah service.
Ein kamacha v'Elohim Adonai, bein kemasecha, malchutecha malchut kol olamim, umemsheltecha b'chol dor v'dor. Adonai melech, Adonai malach, Adonai yimloch leolam va'ed, Adonai oz le'amo yitein, Adonai yivarech et amo v'shalom. Av harachamim heitiva v'yitzonecha et Zion, tivneh chomot Yerushalayim, tivneh chomot Yerushalayim, ki v'cha levad batachnu, melech el ram v'nisa, Adon olami. Adonai, Adonai, el rachum v'chanun, erech apayim, b'rav hesed v'emet, notzer chesed la'alafim, נושא עוון ופשע וחטא ונקה. אדוני, אדוני, אל רחום וחנון, ערך אפיים ורב חסד ואמת, נוצר חסד לאלפים, נושא עוון ופשע וחטא ונקה. אדוני, אדוני, אל רחום וחנון, ערך אפיים ורב חסד ואמת, נוצר חסד לאלפים, נושא עוון ופשע וחטא ונקה. שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד. שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אחד אלוהינו גדול, אדוננו קדוש ונורא שמו. אחד אלוהינו גדול, אדוננו קדוש ונורא שמו. גדלו לאדוני איתי ונרוממה שמו יחדיו, Lecha Adonai hagedula v'hagevura v'hatiferet v'hanetzach v'hahod ki ho b'shamayim u'va'aretz ki ho b'shamayim u'va'aretz Lecha Adonai hamamlacha v'hamitnaseh lechol rosh Oseh shalom bimromav v'ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru amen Oseh shalom bimromav v'ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru
So, in case you haven't noticed it yet, this morning is all about you and about this congregation and about who you are as individuals and we are as a community. It's also about me getting rid of some random things I found as I cleaned up the building. So I found more nice, interesting things. I want to begin the Torah service by sending all of you love and greetings from Rabbi Alan Setcher. He said he's going to think about us today, and he wishes all of you a Shana Tova, a sweet new year, in hopes that maybe next year he can join us. So I'm hoping that too. We have guests, far away guests, but also guests from the very, very heart of the history of this congregation. Ellen, I counted. You are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You're the 9th president of this congregation. But I will call you up first because Jake did it twice, and I will go in chronological order. So it is my honor to call up you and Jenny. And let me just share with the people who do not know this. The reason that the two of you are in town this week is that your oldest son got married, and he got married in Belgrade, so here we are. But also, what is even more special for the ones of you who ever looked at the tree of life in the entryway, we had always had there 4 leaves for the Rasabi families, which was the wedding date of Jenny and Alan in this building, and then subsequently the barn bat mitzvah date of all of their 3 children in this building. Jenny taught Hebrew school as Alan was making sure that this congregation has a future. And this weekend, we put up a 5th leaf, which is the wedding of Louis and Shannon in this congregation. So here's a family who has woven its family history into the chronicles of this humble congregation. And we are just honored and thrilled, and I am deeply moved to have you up here on the bima and to begin the year with you as a community. Please rise and tell me your Hebrew names. Oh, not all of you, just just those 2, okay? We're relatively traditional in that way, okay? But if you want to, I don't know, what do I know? Just rise whenever you feel like it. So, what are your Hebrew names? Yehiel. Okay. Ya'amdu Adira bat Sarah ve'Avraham ben Yehiel la'aliyah rishon.
Baruchu et Adonai Hamborach.
Baruch Adonai Hamborach leolam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamborach leolam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bahar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. ויהי אחר הדברים האלה, והאלוהים נישא את אברהם, ויאמר אליו אברהם, ויאמר הנני, ויאמר קח נא את בנך את יחידך שאהבת את יצחק ולך לך אל ארץ המוריה והעלהו שם לעולה על אחד ההרים אשר אומר אליך. וישכם אברהם בבוקר ויחבוש את חמורו ויקח את שני נעריו איתו ואת יצחק בנו ויבקע עולה ויקום וילך אל המקום אשר אמר לו האלוהים.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם אשר נתן לנו תורת אמת וחיי עולם נטע בתוכנו. ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה.
Amen. Alan and Jenny, just stay here for a second. The rabbi who officiated at every single family event of yours in the last years is married to an artist, Beth, who created these little stickers, I was told, during the time that you were here. So I found them. I want to give you one of them on your way to Australia, with greetings from Bozeman and with gratitude for the years you gave this place, I believe, almost 24 hours every single day of your life. So thank you.
Thank you
And
so much.
thanks for being here.
Thank you.
We have a COVID protocol that we didn't alter yet, which is that you leave now. Thank you. For the second Aliyah, I want to call up someone who I counted the years. I was irritated at first, but then I wasn't surprised. He was president twice as long as anybody else, and he continues to give twice as much as anybody else here. And I'm speaking of Richard Wolf, and we're going to diverge from the usual protocol of what is happening in a Torah service, and we're just going to sing happy birthday, because Richard has the honor of sharing his birthday with the world. Happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you, happy birthday, dear Richard. Happy birthday to you. Richard Wolf was president of this congregation from 2013 till 2018, when I was here for the first time during his last month of presidency. And he is to this day a wonderful partner in Torah study and book club and Booze for Jews and ritual and programming committee, and also as the head of the Gabayim team and a person who trims the bushes when he's done running Torah study. And I'm really standing here with a lot of gratitude, and I can't wait to see you dance again at our Simchat Torah concert this year. What is your Hebrew name? Or actually, you know what? This one you do. Oh. Ya'amod, Richard. לעלייה שני.
Baruch hu Adonai hamborach.
ברוך אדוני המבורך לעולם ועד.
Baruch Adonai hamborach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech olam. Asher bachar banu mikol hamim. V'natan lanu et toraso. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
אמן. ביום השלישי יישא אברהם את עיניו וירא את המקום מרחוק. ויאמר אברהם אל נעריו
שבו לכם פה עם החמור, ואני והנער נלך עד כה, ונשתחווה ונשוב עליכם. ויקח אברהם את עצי העולה, וישם על יצחק בנו, ויקח בידו את האש ואת המאכלת, וילכו שניהם יחדיו. ויאמר יצחק אל אברהם אביו, ויאמר אבי, ויאמר הנני בני, ויאמר הנה האש והעצים, ואייעשה לעולה. ויאמר אברהם אלוהים יראה לו עשה לעולה בני, וילכו שניהם יחדיו.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech olam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'chai olam nata b'tachenu, Baruch atah Adonai, noten haTorah.
Amen. Richard, it is time to get your sticker. Happy birthday. Yes. They actually mean something to the people who knew them. Happy birthday. May you have a year full of health and strength. And the thing you praise me for, often people praise you for the thing they are themselves best at. You once said to me, you love how dedicated I am.
I do. I still do.
And I love how dedicated you are. Thank you from all my heart. I believe you can hang out here a little bit.
Okay.
I think. For the third Aliyah, I hope I am allowed to. I didn't get a final okay. If not, then can I call you up? Well, okay, there's some debate. I will try, and if you refuse, I'll call up someone else. It's okay. Okay, so I want to call up Sarah and Sam Schwerin. I really want to, even though she was shy and she wasn't sure that she wanted to come up, but in all honesty, she was the only female president so far, so it is very important. And it is an honor to have both of you up here. I want to share with you that Sarah's work to this day makes all of us, and especially my life, easier and safer than it would be without the years of her presidency. Because she's the president who organized the Google Drive, and she's the president who started to keep track of our events. She's the president who in the last months of her presidency secured the security grant that helps us to be secure to this day until the end of this high holiday season. And in all those ways and functions, Sarah has been a protective, ordering, and life-giving element sometimes for me and for all of you, even though you don't know it, in the last month of my rabbinate here. So it's just with a lot of gratitude. And yours was also the first bat mitzvah, when it was still news to me that you can have cowboy-themed life cycle events. Now I know that basically every life cycle event is cowboy-themed, but it works for the people from Australia and for the New York City people. So I'm just really, really grateful for the way you welcomed me and for the way you paved the way into the future for this community. Adonai hamorach leolam va'ed. Amen. Vayavo el hamakom asher amar lo Elohim ויבן שם אברהם את המזבח, ויערוך את העצים, ויעקוד את יצחק בנו, וישם אותו על המזבח ממעל העצים, וישלח אברהם את ידו, ויקח את המאכלת לשחוט את בנו. ויקרא אליו מלאך אדוני מן השמיים, ויאמר אברהם, אברהם, ויאמר הנני.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'hayeh olam nata b'toteinu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. And here it is, the button of your honor. Thank you so much for everything, Sarah. Shana Tova. And Richard is here. Perfect. I am calling up Jake and Kama Werner for the fourth Aliyah. And of course, I absolutely forgot your Hebrew. No. Yes.
Kindly ask every time and every time I don't.
Oh, right. Yes, that's true. Good. Here's the missing piece. Thank you. Thank you for showing up yet again in all the ways you are showing up over and over and over again, for schlepping books and bringing flowers and organizing Purim carnivals and bringing in food and chairs, and sometimes I trump you and I'm ready before you get here. But I know about the two of you that you're absolutely here every single time I could need anything else. And you're both the people who check in with me and ask, is there anything you need? And you're also the people on whom I can dump every single silly task, from housing people and sending stuff somewhere and picking someone up. And you're priceless in this way. You get the sticker right away.
Hard to read after that. Okay, Amen. Vayomer, al tishlach yadcha el hanar, ral taslo me'uma, ki yadata, ki yare Elohim ata, lo kasafta, et binacha, ichidacha, mimani. Vayasa Abraham et Enav, Vayar v'hine ayil achar, ne'achaz bizbach b'karnav, vayelech Abraham, vayikach et ha'ayil, vayalehu le'olah pachat bano, vayikra Abraham, Shem hamakom hahu, Adonai Yira'eh, Asher Ye'amer hayom, Bahar Adonai Yira'eh.
service. We pause the Torah service. It is the custom to pause before the last Aliyah on any given day, and in the presence of the Torah, share a moment of Mishaberach for everyone who is in need of healing. So as you're all finding page 245, I am going to look around the room and invite you to share the names of the people you have in your heart who might be in dire need of healing or just need a little extra of something.
Evelyn Israel. Kyle Sorensen. Evelyn Israel.
Megan McKeever.
Page 245. Misheberach Avotenu Mekor HaBracha Laimotenu. Bless the source of strength, who bless the ones before us. Help us find the courage to help our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Misheberach Imotenu Mekor HaBracha Lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shelema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen. And it is my honor. I found exactly 5, which is why I couldn't do this on Yom Kippur, because we read 6 aliyot on Yom Kippur, so it had to be a Rosh Hashanah thing. It is my honor to call up Seth Cooper and his beloved wife Cassie for the 5th aliyah. Seth, what is your Hebrew name? Shaya. Ya'amdu Shaya ve'ahuvato Cassie la'aliyah Chamishi.
Baruch
Adonai Hamborach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Baruch Olam Va'ed. Baruch Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim
Vayikra Malach Adonai El Abraham Shenit Min Hashemayim Vayomer Binishpati Adonai Ki Yad Asher Asita Et Hadavar Hazeh V'lo Chasachta Et Bichat Yachidecha Ki Varecha Varechecha Arbe et zeracha kekochvei hashemayim v'chachol asher al safat hayom v'yaresh zeracha et sha'ar oyavav v'hitbarachu b'zeracha kol goyei haaretz ekev asher shamata be'koli vayasav Abraham el ne'arav vayakumu v'elachu yachdav el be'er sheva vayeshev Abraham v'be'er sheva.
Baruch Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah temet v'chayei olam nata b'tocheinu Baruch Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. And I'm coming back. Last button. Who wants to have it?
Okay.
Seth, you have been president now for 2 months? You have been around forever. Yes, that's it. You were on the search committee when I flew in first. I think you were the only one who was on the search committee when I flew in the second time. I knew your face from the screen, and I knew your face in real life. You had a little Joseph in between, but that's a big and minor change. You founded Jutang, and you carried along the summer camp until you literally stumped it out of the ground for the first time this year, and hopefully for many years to come. This is the face of the person whom we are going to see at every single beer drinking event in the side of this congregation in the next 2 years. And also, I'm just making this decision now, he's the game master on Hanukkah. Is that what we call this, Sid? Something? You said he needs to do something on Hanukkah? The MC, whatever that is. Okay, so he has that.
I'm working on my material now.
Yes, you should. We have great expectations, and and we do not only have great expectations, we also know why we have them, because we have a lot of trust in that you bring for the next 2 years everything you have to this congregation. And thank you, Cassie, for being here all along, running after Joseph as Seth is on to big things. And we really, really appreciate both of your presence in this congregation. Thank you. Preserve the button.
Hug now or anything?
Yes, we can hug.
It's not against protocol.
Shana Tova. So, we are on page 246, and I want to invite to the Beamer here Gary and Sid. They're married to each other. They're both awesome in their own ways. Gary, because he can carry blocks of concrete, which I have witnessed firsthand. Sid, because she can carry 50 people into a mood of ecstasy and enjoyment. And thank you to both of you for what you bring. You have been incredible. Anyone who ate here in the last month already know this. Everyone who comes here for Mahjong, which is the quickest growing event ever happening inside of the synagogue. Thank you, Sid, for food and invitations and open arms and organizing talents and all the visions and ideas that you bring to this community and this building. And I can't wait to see what else is going to happen with the two of you. Page 246, please rise for Hagbah and Glila. And tell me, yeah. Ya'avdu, Dietza, Mordecai, Megillah, Mordecai, and Moshe, Vod, Hagba'a, Megillah.
וזאת התורה אשר שם משה לפני בני ישראל על פי אדוני ביד משה על שלושה
Can go back now.
שלושה דברים
על שלושה דברים, העולם עומד.
על שלושה דברים על שלושה דברים
על שלושה דברים, העולם עומד.
על התורה
ועל העבודה, ועל גמילות חסדים. על התורה, ועל העבודה, ועל גמילות חסדים.
על שלושה דברים על שלושה דברים על שלושה
דברים, העולם עומד.
על שלושה דברים על שלושה דברים על שלושה דברים העולם עומד.
יישר כוחכם. Thank you. You may be seated. I have a very important question. What time is it now? Okay. Here we say goodbye to the Haftarah. I'm sorry, but I promise to keep it halfway short. There will be an extensive Haftarah reading on Yom Kippur. So for those very few of you who have been waiting for this, stay tuned for in 10 days from now. We have inherited some change protocols from last year when we still thought that blowing the shofar was a dangerous thing. Now, I learned that it's not such a dangerous thing this morning, but we won't change the liturgy right now. So what we're going to do now is a very, very short shofar service. I didn't invent this one. This one is actually in the traditional liturgy. It just contains much less shofar blows than the traditional shofar service of the morning of Rosh Hashanah. We do, however, have a very, very, very professional shofar blower here among us in the person of Erin Yang, who also plays wind instruments for Bozeman Symphony. So we make up for that. And we will hear her again this Shabbat when we meet for Tashlich at Story Mill Park at 3 p.m. and also for an extensive shofar service where she's going to blow different shofars in different ways according to the 3 themes of the traditional shofar service. And if you want to, please bring picnic so that you can hang out and sit a little with us at 3 p.m. at Story Mill Park. For now, I want to invite you, open page 206. But before we get to that page, I want to share a thing. The reason for the traditional shofar service was that the Jews at some point were very worried that if they would blow the shofar, they wouldn't only attract good spirits, but also evil ones. Though for all of you who eat fish on Rosh Hashanah and carrots and dip their challah in honey, all of you are much more superstitious than you thought you are, because you do all these things in order to increase blessing and avoid evil. So we do the same thing. When we blow the shofar in order to rush away all the demons, we confuse them a little by blowing the shofar at the wrong spot. So we're doing this now. We're blowing the shofar at the wrong spot of the service, in a traditional wrong spot service for shofar blowing. And then we do it very, very properly and extensively again next Shabbat. I'm going to sing a couple of verses in a psalm that you do not have on your pages, so do not worry. You don't have to sing along right away. And then we will be on page 206. Hodun Adonai ki tov, ki leolam chazdo, yomru na Yisrael, ki leolam chazdo, yomru na Beit Aharon, ki leolam chazdo, Yomuna Yirei Adonai Ki leolam chasdo. Please rise, page 206.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lishmoa kol shofar.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehecheyanu v'kiyamanu v'higianu lazman hazeh.
Amen. Tekiah. Shvarim Trua. Tekiah. Tekiah. Shvarim. Tekiah. Tekiah. Trua. Tekiah. Tekiah Gdola. Yay! Page 132. Oh, Hallelujah, Selah. Ashrei yoshvei beitecha. Oh, Hallelujah, Selah. Poteach et yadecha, umatzviya lekol chai ratzon. Poteach et yadecha, umatzviya lekol chai ratzon. Ashrei yoshvei beitecha. Oh, Hallelujah, Selah. Ashrei yoshvei beitecha. Oh, Hallelujah, Selah. Page 276. Please remain standing for the end of the Torah service.
Yehallelu et Shem Adonai ki niskav shemo levado hodo al בכל נתיבותיה שלום. השיבנו אדוני אליך ונשובה, חדש עלינו כקדם.
Toward the end of almost every Jewish service, we sing the Aleinu. It is upon us to bow down now. It is upon us to acknowledge you. We are grateful, we are joyful. It is upon us to continue our building. It is upon us to start anew. It is upon us to make the world better. It is upon us to never let anything be greater than you. However, the prayer was not composed for the end of just about every service. It was written for today, and just for today. Today is the one day on which we reshuffle our priorities to make sure that our lives become a true expression of what we hold most sacred. It is often said that Jews bow only once every year. This now is that one time. And when we bow for only one reason: to acknowledge that there is always something that is bigger than we are. Page 202, the Great Aleinu. Please remain standing.
Aleinu לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה, ליוצר בראשית, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסר ארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו בגובהי מרומים. הוא אלוהינו אין עוד, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים. לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא.
Please be seated. I want to invite all of you to bring in those who are with you today, not in body, but in spirit. I want to begin inviting up the people who lost someone they love this very week. And maybe you want to share a couple of words just for the people here in this space.
This week I lost my dad. It wasn't an unexpected thing. He was 97, but he was actually doing remarkably well of late. And I'd organised for him to watch our son Louis's wedding on video, and I feel very sad that it won't be happening. My dad, William Ryan.
And it means a lot that you're here. I want to invite all those of you who lost someone last month to rise. Do you want to share a name?
And yes, my father, Jack Roberts.
Grandfather.
I lost a good friend of mine's daughter to rare Jewish genetic disease.
My sister, Leisha Parker.
I want to invite all those of you who lost someone in the last 11 to 12 months to rise.
My good friends, Marcy Penny and Carol Ferguson. My father, James. My brother-in-law, Larry.
My brother Dave.
And if you, do you want to add a name?
Robert Smith, Robert Royal Smith, a really terrific artist in this community.
And if you lost someone at this time of the year, late summer, high holidays, in other years, please rise.
My father, Michael.
My grandmother, Aunt Lisa.
My parents, Linda and Cheryl. My in-laws, Earl Robin, Robin, and Sally. Robin. My Aunt Young.
My father, Michael O'Malley.
My mother, Charlotte Franklin.
My cousin, Paul.
And if it is your custom, please all rise for page 292, the saying of the Kaddish. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabba, be'alma divrach chirutei ve'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'vizman kariv ve'imru amen. יהי שמי רבה מבורך לעולם ולעלמי עלמיה. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי לקודשה ברכו. לעילה ולעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דאמירן בעלמה ואמרו אמן. יהי שלמה רבה מן שמעיה, וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ועל כל יושבי תבל, ואמרו אמן. Please be seated and join me on page 290. We're reading together Autumn Sonnet. If I can let you go as trees let go, their leaves so casually one by one, if I can come to know what they do know, that fall is in the release, the consummation, then fear of time and the uncertain fruit would not distemper the great lucid skies, the strangest autumn, mellow and acute. If I can take the dark with open eyes and call it seasonal, not harsh or strange, For love itself may need a time to sleep, and tree-like stand unmoved before the change. Lose what I lose to keep what I can keep. The strong root still alive under the snow. Love will endure if I can let you go. And here we stand. We did it once again, in almost only 2.5 hours. We said the prayers, we read the words. We listened to the shofar. We're here. Another layer will settle in the trees. Another round of Torah readings soon begins. When we look outside, we see the signs of early winter, late fall, whatever it is that you call this season. I don't think it's mud season, no? It's the season I learned where like real Bozemanites are grumpy because they can't ski yet and they can't, I don't know what you do in the summer anymore. We're getting ready for a whole new year and ski season. May we reach up to heaven. May we be grounded firmly on our planet Earth. May we be co-creators of an earthly heaven. May this year be sweet. May it be different. May it feel like we got all we need and that all of us got a little bit rebirthed. 294. Hayom ta'amsenu. Our God and God of our ancestors, eternal God of all generations, may your presence in our lives this new year renew our spirits and renew our strength. May it be a good year. May it be a sweet year. L'shana tova tikatevu v'techa temo. Shana tova. And I will invite you now to join me in the community hall for Kiddush and a round challah baked by Ashley Mansfield. And if we don't have honey, it's in my bag, which is in the office there, because I remembered it this morning. And I think that's it. Shana Tova.